Al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri has been killed in a CIA drone strike in Afghanistan. This is the biggest blow to the militant group since its founder Osama bin Laden was killed more than a decade ago in 2011. Zawahiri was 71. He was a key architect behind multiple assaults on the United States and was deeply involved, according to multiple analysts, in the planning of the September 11, 2001 terror attacks. The U.S. President Biden held a press meeting. He reacted to these developments a little while ago. Take a look at what the U.S. President had to say. All right, we're going to play out for you what he had to say in just a few moments from now. But when it comes to more details about the actual attack, we will share with you what we do know. Again, Zawahiri was an Egyptian eye doctor. He served as bin Laden's deputy before taking over the Al-Qaeda in 2011. We'll talk more about his work in Al-Qaeda. Right now, though, we're going to play out for you what the U.S. President Joe Biden had to say. Take a look.
My direction, the United States successfully concluded an airstrike in Kabul, Afghanistan that killed the emir of Al-Qaeda, Ayman al-Zawahiri. You know, Zawahiri was bin Laden's leader. He was deeply involved in the planning of 9/11. One of the most responsible for the attacks, murdered 2,977 people on American soil. Justice has been delivered, and this terrorist leader is no more. People around the world no longer need to fear the vicious and determined killer. And to those around the world who continue to seek to harm the United States, hear me now. We will always remain vigilant, and we will act, and we will always do what is necessary to ensure the safety and security of Americans at home and around the globe.
All right, we're moving now to CNN that's bringing live coverage of this event. Take a look.
No holds barred.
Out front tonight, hypocrite in chief.
No nonsense.
How stupid do
All right,
you
as we told you a little while earlier, al-Zawahiri was a long-time associate of bin Laden's. They both fought together in the Soviet war before Zawahiri took over bin Laden's job, his top post in the Al-Qaeda when he passed away in 2011. Zawahiri had helped found Islamic Jihad, the group that assassinated Egyptian President Anwar Sadat in 1981. He's had a long career when it comes to terrorism. My colleague Abhishek Jha is with us live this morning to bring us a lot more context on this story. Abhishek, according to initial reports, this incident actually took place on July 30th, early in the morning. What can you tell our audiences?
So this was in the area of somewhere around Sherpura, that the area is known by the name in Kabul, that in a building, al-Zawahiri, Ayman al-Zawahiri was standing in balcony when this USA drone attacked him with hellfire missiles, and that got him killed. This is the information that we have, that no man was on the ground, and it all happened through some distant location and operated by drone, that USA was able to kill number 2 of Al-Qaeda, which was actually by default he was number 1 after Osama bin Laden. So this is how the information has been, and in fact US President has also done a briefing on this, and he has said that those who have been responsible for those 9/11 attack, they have been taken to task. The punishment has been done, and this will be sort of a closure for all the victims. We know that almost 3,000 people were killed in 9/11 attack when 2 airplanes went through the high-rise buildings in USA, killing almost 3,000 people. So he has said that in a way this will be a closure to all the victims of 9/11 attack. And so far, talking about the incident that has happened, we know that Kabul is currently being ruled by Taliban, and Taliban spokesperson Zabihullah has released a statement. He has talked about the attack. He has said that this attack is sort of interference in the governing of Taliban in Kabul, and this is not good, and this will be, in a way, the opportunity will be lost. The opportunity, he implies that the opportunity to negotiate and to talk with the Taliban government currently. But surprisingly, they have not mentioned killing of al-Zawahiri or killing of anybody, though they have mentioned that there has been a US drone attack in Kabul, and they have issued a statement regarding that.
Okay, Abhishek, I'm going to come to you in a little while more about these responses. But first, if for our audiences, you could explain to us what al-Zawahiri's impact has been on the terror sphere over the last few decades. We know he's been involved since the early 1980s, even perhaps before. Could you tell our audiences more?
Al-Zawahiri was more like a person who was responsible for the organizational structure. He was more like an ideologue since his teenage, when he was Egyptian born and raised in a decent, well-off family. He studied medicine. So in a way, he was well educated and a doctor also. And with his profession only, he met several people, including Osama bin Laden and several top leaders when he was serving them as a doctor at various refugee camps in Pakistan, bordering Afghanistan. In fact, he has been into this radical movement of Islamist way of governance since his early days only, and he was also found to be responsible for an assassination attempt on Egyptian president, and for that he was also sentenced 3 years in prison. In fact, he was also later on sentenced death in absentia. He was also responsible for U.S. embassy attack in Tanzania, and USA had announced almost 25 million bounty on his head. But of all the background that he has had, he is well known for his role in Al-Qaeda structure that went ahead and that got killed almost 3,000 people in USA in 9/11 attack. And ever since in 2011, when Osama bin Laden was killed, al-Zawahiri was spearheading all the activities and movement of this organization. However, in the last 10, 11 years that he has been heading this organization of Al-Qaeda, the strength of Al-Qaeda, the spread of Al-Qaeda and the impact of Al-Qaeda, everything has waned. In fact, other organizations, other Islamic radical movement have taken place of the vacuum that was left behind by the killing of Osama bin Laden, including ISIS and now the ruling dispensation of Taliban in Afghanistan.
Okay, Abhishek, stay with us. We're covering some important developments that are coming in this same story. Different national reactions coming in. Saudi Arabia, we're learning, has welcomed the killing of the Al-Qaeda leader al-Zawahiri. State media in Saudi Arabia has welcomed U.S. President Joe Biden's announcement of the killing of the Al-Qaeda leader. The state news agency reported late on Monday. They've quoted a foreign ministry statement. Zawahiri, I'm going to quote them here, is considered one of the leaders of terrorism that led to the planning and execution of heinous terrorist operations in the United States and in Saudi Arabia. Let's go over now to my colleague Abhishek, who was with us on the previous story too. Abhishek, just for our audiences, could you explain where does Saudi Arabia fall in these developments? What is their own history with al-Zawahiri? Why do these statements come in and why are they timely? Why should our audience be paying attention to it?
So, you know, if you talk about U.S. allies and strategic alliances in Gulf, Saudi Arabia is one of the key U.S. ally. In fact, the current attack that has happened in Kabul, which has Ayman al-Zawahiri killed, is believed that the drone missile was being operated somewhere in part of Gulf, and it's also used Pak airspace. So we know the kind of collaboration U.S. agencies are having with the nations and their allies in Gulf, and also partly with the Pakistani authorities or the Pakistani military officials. So in a way, this whole attack has come as a result of U.S. agencies' collaboration for maybe probably for months with their counterparts in Saudi and their counterparts in Pakistan.
Okay, Abhishek, thank you. Just for our audiences, remember, this would be the first known over-the-horizon strike by the U.S. on an Al-Qaeda target in Afghanistan since American forces withdrew all the way back in 2021 August. We're cutting now to CNN that's bringing you coverage of this story live. Take a look.
She has a right to make this decision. I think she'll make the right decision as to what to do. But to think that China is going to clear the schedules of those who wish to visit Taiwan, you ought to see what they're doing to a tiny country like Lithuania that had the nerve to say they were going to do business with Taiwan. Chinese are trying to freeze them out on the world stage. They are bullies, and they're trying to push Nancy Pelosi around, and I don't think that's going to happen.
Listen, we have so much, usually they call these summer doldrums, right? But we have so much news to get to. Another subject I want to talk to you about, those missing Secret Service texts. Top House Democrats are calling on the Homeland Security Inspector General to recuse himself from this investigation. I mean, this comes after CNN's report that showed investigators...
All right, and we're covering more national and international reactions to these developments. Remember, a top leader of terrorism killed right now, al-Zawahiri, as we're bringing you updates. Now we have an update on the Taliban reaction in Afghanistan. Apparently, according to reports, the Taliban is upset with top officials. I'm going to read out for you what they had to say. We found that the U.S. drones attacked a civilian area of Sherpur, Kabul. We were not aware on the kind of attack. Later, after investigation, it was found it was American drones which attacked civilian areas. This attack is a violation of the Doha Agreement. Strong words coming in from the Afghan Taliban government. Now, on the phone with us right now, we have my colleague Anand Narasimhan to bring us a lot more context on how the Afghanistani government has responded. Anand, could you explain to our audiences the reaction and also what the Doha Agreement is? Why could this possibly stand in violation of that?
Well, the Doha Agreement very clearly between the U.S. and Afghanistan, or more importantly Taliban, very clearly says that Afghanistan soil will not be used for aiding, abetting and harboring those who have an agenda against America or enemies of America. Now, this is what the claim is. Now, but the other aspect is that it also says that there will be no strikes or there will be no attacks on Afghanistan soil by foreign entities without taking into confidence the Afghanistan government or the Taliban. So the door actually swings both ways. Now, given America's position is that after the Saturday drone strike and the killing of Ayman al-Zawahiri in Sherpur area of Kabul, now, this is right at the heart of Kabul. Now, if it's a residential apartment area there where Ayman al-Zawahiri was present, so the bigger question that the Taliban have to now answer is what is it that, how is it that Ayman al-Zawahiri was there in the heart of Kabul and they didn't know? Now, interestingly, we have a world exclusive which was recorded, before the weekend, before this incident happened on Saturday, with the Home Minister of Afghanistan, Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, that is the Taliban leader and leader of the Haqqani network, Sirajuddin Haqqani, where he claimed that there is no presence of Al-Qaeda on Afghanistan soil. Now, if that is what the official statement of the opposition of the government of Afghanistan was, and we'll play that out through the course of the day, but point is, if that was the position that was taken by the Afghanistani or the Taliban, how is it that Ayman al-Zawahiri was neutralized by the Americans in Kabul? So clearly the Taliban are upset that there have been a drone strike and that too in a densely civilian area. America is claiming that nobody but Ayman al-Zawahiri has been neutralized. Even his family members who in that home where he was living have been unharmed. It's only him who's been neutralized. It's a pinpointed strike. The Americans are saying, what is Ayman al-Zawahiri doing in your own backyard right in the heart of Kabul if you're saying you're not harboring a terrorist and a wanted person, an enemy of the United States of America? The Taliban are turning around and saying this is going to spoil relations because you moved out of here and there is a Doha agreement and you have said that you will not conduct strikes on our soil and you are conducting these strikes on our soil. But interestingly, the Taliban also credits Pakistan for its rise in Afghanistan and it's coming back into power in Afghanistan. And what the irony is that Osama bin Laden was found in Abbottabad and Ayman al-Zawahiri has been found in Kabul. So the larger question is, despite all the people-to-people connect that India is extending to the people of Afghanistan, India going ahead and opening up the embassy in Afghanistan, the larger question is, can the Taliban actually be trusted and do they even know what is happening in their own backyard? So there are two angles and two aspects to this. So Taliban very visibly upset from their point of view that the strike has been conducted in their own backyard by the Americans. Americans upset that Ayman al-Zawahiri has been found living in Kabul, right under the very noses of those very people who said that they will cooperate fully against Al-Qaeda and Daesh, that is the Islamic State.
Anand, if you could also explain to our audiences, in your own expertise, how long is this fissure between the two countries created by this over-the-horizon strike? Is it likely to last for a few years now? Is it going to heighten diplomatic tension, for example, between the two countries?
But the Taliban is at no place to negotiate. They can only say that you have done it this time, don't repeat it again. Beyond that, what is their position? They are increasingly getting frustrated because of the Pakistanis. They do not want to be seen too close to the Chinese. They need the Americans for their trade to flourish and the gateway into Europe and the world markets. They are actively engaging with India because they realize the civilizational connect and the fact that India has been the true friend in need. So there are multiple alignments. So they also have the pressures coming in from Iran. So Taliban are stuck between a rock and a hard place. So they are in no position to negotiate right now. But the point is they can express their displeasure. They also want to evolve. They want to move from becoming a terrorist outfit to somebody who can legitimately claim and run a government, because the Taliban's position officially has always been that they did everything for the people of Afghanistan and for Afghanistan because they wanted to liberate Afghanistan from the clutches of foreign control. Now, in this case, it is hugely embarrassing for the Taliban leadership. It is also embarrassing for the Pakistanis who are actively backing them, and the military and establishment is heavily invested in Afghanistan. That, Ayman al-Zawahiri is present there. Now, it will again bring back the Osama bin Laden parallels, who was found in Abbottabad. So all of this very clearly shows that unless Afghanistan emerges out of the clutches of the Pakistani military establishment, they will never have an individual position. And unless they are able to try and assert themselves and really show they mean business and they are wanting to walk the talk, the trust levels will be very, very low. There will be a huge trust deficit between, the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan or this Taliban-run government and any other nation that is wanting to engage with it, because everybody is going to be their guards up when they're going to talk to the Taliban now.
Okay. Anand Narsman, thank you so much for that input. We now have some more breaking news coming in related very much to this story. We're going to move to that. More reactions coming in from across the world. Former U.S. President Barack Obama has tweeted out, and I'm going to read out for you. Tonight's news is also proof that it's possible to root out terrorism without being at war in Afghanistan. I hope it provides a small measure of peace to the 9/11 families and everyone else who has suffered at the hands of Al-Qaeda. That is a pointed remark. Remember, Barack Obama hails from the Democratic Party. It is his former Vice President, current President Joe Biden, who signaled the ending of U.S. troops present in Afghanistan. It was 31st August 2021, during President Biden's presidency, that the United States ended 20 years of war in Afghanistan. It's perhaps to that President Barack Obama, former President Barack Obama, is referring in his message. Let's go over to my colleague Abhishek to understand more on this. Abhishek, for our audiences, could you bring us more context to what President Obama is saying in his statement?
Of course, he was the president when we know the Al-Qaeda chief Osama bin Laden was killed in Abbottabad in Pakistan. It was also a very secret mission, and he has been, we saw how the footage is emerging, that he was sitting in the war room and discussing and keeping watch over every step that the U.S. special forces were taking in order to eliminate Osama bin Laden. So those pictures were quite viral in that time, and after that he addressed the nation also, and he announced how the U.S. forces were able to take out Osama bin Laden and kill him. This time also around, the government is of the same party, and of course the congratulatory note that he has tweeted on his personal Twitter handle says that how they have been able to eliminate the number 2, or probably currently the number 1 of Al-Qaeda, Ayman al-Zawahiri as well. So this is a kind of mission that was left behind, and this is being again completed by one of his party successor, Joe Biden. Joe Biden was very close aide of Barack Obama during his time of presidency, and now that unfinished work is being completed by him. Is surely a kind of relief for the former president or Barack Obama, and this is what he has intended to imply in his tweets.
All right, Abhishek, thank you so much for bringing us context on this. For our audiences, we're going to continue to cover this story. Right now, though, very quickly, we're moving on to more international updates taking place across the world as we speak. United States House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is expected to visit Taiwan. It's a region that has sparked tension between China and the United States historically due to their different stances on the island. Why we're tracking this visit and why it's of such importance is because it has led to a heightened reaction from China. We're going to tell you more about it. But as per inputs, Pelosi is stated to meet Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen on Wednesday. Pelosi did not include Taiwan in her official itinerary. Remember, Taiwan is a self-ruled island, but it is claimed by China, which sees it as a breakaway province. China has, upon coming to know these developments, issued a strong warning to the Biden administration, saying, and this is particularly important, that the military won't sit by idly if Beijing feels its sovereignty and territorial integrity is being threatened. So these are particularly worrying developments taking place. We're going to actually shift back right now our focus to the Taliban al-Zawahiri story right now. We're going to switch to that as we speak. Al-Zawahiri, as we just said a little while ago, was killed on the 30th of July. And my colleague Abhishek Jha is with us, bringing us updates on the other story. I'll look to understand, if I can go to Abhishek Jha to understand more. As you can see already, President Obama coming in with that first reaction. Let's go over now, though, to Abhishek to understand more. Abhishek, for our audiences, give us more context here on the placement of each of the important countries in this story. For example, apart from the United States and Afghanistan, where does a country like Saudi Arabia, where do other Middle Eastern countries align when it comes to this story and this development?
So interestingly, Toya, there are a lot of complicated alliances in this whole operation that has happened in Kabul. First of all, the senior Pakistani military officials were in Washington DC recently. Also, we know that in Gulf, Saudi is one of the key allies of USA. The drone attack that has happened, that was being controlled by somebody sitting very far away from Kabul. There was no man on the ground. So it looks like, and also the drone that had attacked the Hellfire missiles on the al-Zawahiri house was also must have used the Pakistani air space also. So there must be some information to Pakistani military intelligence as well on this whole operation. We know that such operations happen in very secret way, but it looks like there were a lot of collaboration and intelligence inputs from other alliances as well on the ground where al-Zawahiri was staying. And we know that currently there is no USA security personnel in Afghanistan. They have all been away. They have all packed up in the last August, and it has been, incidentally, it is almost a year now since Taliban has taken over the Kabul administration, and it was promised in Doha Agreement, as Anand was also telling, that the soil of Afghanistan will not be used to aid, abet, and harbor terrorist activities. But we know that the current ruling dispensation of Taliban is also a combination of multiple radical factions, those who have their separate agendas as well. There is a Haqqani network also, which is very much aligned and very much sympathetic to the Al-Qaeda network, and it is also believed that there were certain personnel from Haqqani network who were also in key positions in the government, who were directly in contact with al-Zawahiri, and this is how al-Zawahiri happened to come back to Kabul and started living here in a way that was believed to be a safe haven for him. So while a Taliban government in Afghanistan, they promised that their lands will not be used to abet, aid, and harbor any terrorist activities, then what Ayman al-Zawahiri was doing here, he was Al-Qaeda chief, and we know that Al-Qaeda is a globally announced terrorist organization. And in a way, if Zawahiri was sitting and living, very in a very safe way in Kabul, then it must have been some sort of approval from Taliban or some senior authorities in Taliban. So it looks like there has been multiple layers of information that were reaching out to US agencies, and only after ascertaining the fact that there will be al-Zawahiri here, they decided to attack this operation. And also, in a way, the US President had himself also announced that there has been no civilian casualty in this attack, and not even the family members of al-Zawahiri were attacked or injured. So this also tells the kind of precision and kind of correct and exact intelligence input US agencies had, and this could come only from the countries who have been, their men and their person have been on the ground, and we know that Pakistan is one of the country who has helped Taliban resurface and who has also in close contact with the Taliban organization. So, but of course, we'll have to know where all the inputs came from, where all the intelligence inputs came from about the al-Zawahiri being in Kabul, and that helped USA agencies to eliminate him on the last week.
Okay, Abhishek, stay with us. We have more international reactions coming in. I want to move to these very quickly. All right, Canada, along expected lines, has welcomed al-Zawahiri's killing. They've said, and I'm going to quote here, "The death of Ayman al-Zawahiri is a step towards a safer world. Canada will keep working with our global partners to counter terrorist threats, promote peace and security, and keep people here and at home around the world safe." All right, let's go over to my colleague Abhishek to understand more. Abhishek, with each of these countries, I'm going to understand or come over to you to understand how these countries were involved and what their reaction and relationship was with this entire legacy. Abhishek, were any Canadians killed during the 9/11 attack, for example?
Okay. I'm sure we don't have exact numbers, but on the 3,000 people that were killed, that has people from all across the globe. There were Indians also who were involved there. But apart from that, the U.S. operation that had happened for almost 10 years in Afghanistan, that also had people from NATO, people from USA, and the military, if not military support directly in person, then the kind of support, the diplomatic support they have had from all across the globe. And the reaction that is coming from Canada, as the world is going to wake up, we know that so many reactions are going to come up. We can, in fact, expect reactions from Indian government side also. We'll also have reactions from many other European countries as they wake up with this news of Ayman al-Zawahiri being killed. Because the operation has already happened 2-3 days ago, but now it has been declared by U.S. President now only. It looks like they were, after the operation, they were actually trying to ascertain the fact that the operation was as a textbook case, it has happened, and the intelligence input they have had was correct, because in past also it has happened that there were reports that Ayman al-Zawahiri was killed, but later on, few weeks after that report, al-Zawahiri was seen in video clippings with a AK-47 in his background, preaching his followers and threatening the global democratic governments and especially USA. So probably this time USA government wanted to have 100% assurance that okay, this time the operation was successful, and this time the target that they were approaching was 100% killed.
According to the Canadian Department of Foreign Affairs, at least 24 Canadians lost their lives in 9/11. That's why that reaction coming in from Canada is of particular importance right now. Remember, questions on what the future of the Al-Qaeda could look like are also particularly important in this moment. Right now, it's time for a short break. On the other side, we continue to bring you coverage on this story. It's a developing story. We'll see you in a few minutes.